What's going on, YouTube? Got another knife review here for you. Today we're going to be looking at the Custom Knife Factory Gratch. This is another offering designed by Anton Malyshev, Russian designer, and again commissioned by Custom Knife Factory. This is a knife that as I mentioned in my Sequoia review, I'm not sure which one's going to go up first, be published, but that I got during Black Friday in 2015, so in November, and the price was just too good to pass up. And there's, Mike at CKF, he does occasional sales and those kinds of things, but nothing in my experience has beaten the Black Friday sale. I can't remember what percentage off it was, but I remember getting the Gratch and the Sequoia for under $500, and it was free shipping and everything as well, and it was pretty fast shipping. But the Gratch and the Sequoia, obviously, again, made by the same designer, a lot of similarities in design. And the Sequoia, I just heard so much about it, so I wanted to get it. The Gratch was a definite, yes in my books. You got full carbon fiber scales, you've got bronze titanium liners, a bronze, and again, a beautiful finish on their titanium. I don't know how they did it. Some kind of media blast and stone wash with maybe another media blast. I don't know what it is, but it's almost like glass, kind of like a glass-like finish, if you will. But again, full solid titanium backspacer, all milled with nice little angles, on faceting on the backspacer. You got the same clip as you have on the Sequoia, secured by this one screw. I'm not even sure how it's secured in there. It might have another pin that's preventing it from spinning. I actually never explored how that was done. I don't know if it's mortised at all on the carbon fiber, but it's secure, and this clip is perfect. It's a little bit tight, but goes in and out of the pocket. There's enough clearance for it to fit pretty much any pocket that you might have, and not sharp really at all. It might catch a little bit, but it's so low profile. It's not going to really catch on your car or scratch up anything, and it's pretty easy on the finger. So all those different materials, you've got a nice large titanium pivot that's been anodized blue, and then for the steel, you've got M390 steel right there. You can see on that flipper tab, I think. Maybe the lighting's a little bit bad there, but yeah, for that kind of materials and finish, fit and finish on this knife is stellar. I mean, perfect centering. You see there, lockup is absolutely rock solid. No up and down, no side to side at all. Fingerprint magnet, hand rub satin blade. Mike does a great job there at his company. Whoever is doing these hand rub satins are, to be honest, I would say they're comparable to most custom hand rub satins that I've seen. The only ones that are going to be head over heels better is something like Marfione or some of the really high end, David Sharp. Those kinds of hand rub satins are going to be better than this one. But this is it's it's really good. Riding on bearings. I'm not sure if they're single row bearings or multi-row bearings, but again, M390, it's 3 3/4 inch blade, so you get a nice full-size blade, and then on the grind, you got a flat grind, as well as these flats here to secure it in a sharpener for even sharpening on the grind. Overall, this knife, you got a steel insert, it flips out incredibly fast, incredibly easy. Any kind of positioning, it's just really easy to flip out. So ergonomics and design on this knife are incredible. Again, you can kind of see, I brought out the Southern Tolk, as a comparison, just because I think that there's a number of similarities that I see in this blade. Not to say that anyone ripped off anyone else, but there are a lot of similarities when you compare these knives together. From this finger, where you would rest at your ring and pinky finger, it's very similar. I feel like the grip style is pretty similar. You've got a larger choil here, which makes it a little nicer on the grip if you're gonna choke up on the knife. But there's no jimping to speak of on this knife. So that aside, it's still, I mean, you can still get a pretty nice grip, firm grip on here for any kind of fine cutting tasks. On the Southern, you have the really small choil, so it's really, I mean, it's more of a sharpening choil if anything. But you got nice grip on here. XHP steel from Carpenter versus Bowler M390. So similar sizes. The Tulk, I mean, to be honest, the Tulk is pretty much identical. It's got a thicker, I don't know if it's even, you know what, to be honest, the blade stock's probably about the same on this knife. And here's the thing. I think Brad Southard is an amazing custom knife maker. This is obviously a mid-tech, and so would this be. All the work is outsourced to different manufacturers. This is made in USA. This is made in China and assembled in Russia. But when you always have to, in my reviews, a lot of my reviews sometimes get a little bit biased, based on the price, the price that you pay. And all things considered, even if I were to, had gotten this knife at its original retail price, which was probably around $350 to $375, I think, maybe even $400. The Tulk, I believe when I purchased it was $425. In order to get the milled clip, which Brad started offering a little bit later, was an additional, I think, like around $60 something, and then the pivot ring collar here was another $15, and then the copper spacer, which I really enjoy, was another $60 or something like that. So altogether, this knife ended up becoming almost around a $550 to $600 knife. And I love it, and I use it, a lot actually. It's a great EDC, but for $250, this is almost kind of a formal-ish carry, with the carbon fiber, with the proud titanium liners, with the nice milled clip, nice satin rub finish on the blade. It could make for the same knife here, but just as a formal carry, but it's cheaper. And one could argue the materials on here are better than this one. And I would even make the argument, it's as smooth, if not smoother, than the Tulk. Again, don't get me wrong, I love the Tulk. I'll never get rid of my Tulk because I do carry it quite a bit and use it quite a bit. I mean, you can see the scratches on the blade. But for that price, all things considered, this is the better value, in my opinion. This one is not quite as smooth as, man, this thing is smooth. I don't play with my Shirogorov enough, so it always gets me every time I start playing with it. But the Sukhoi is quite a bit smoother, it's noticeably smoother than the Gratch. I mean, the Gratch flips out, with authority, but it's not dropping us, on its own weight. You gotta kind of shake it a little bit to coerce it back into its handle. The Sukhoi, just absolutely falls on its own weight, and the Shirogorov 95T is the same way. So my Grimsmo, which I had sold, which I'm sad about, also easily just fell on its own weight. So the Tulk as well is not, it's not going to fall on its own weight. You got to kind of shake it in there. Also very smooth. And this one's, you know, the Tolk has more of a hydraulic-ish smoothness to it, kind of like Sebenza but with a flipper. And then just the way it rings with that titanium, full titanium frame is pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, anyway, like I'm kind of just rambling on here now. The Gratch, again, this, you know, the Gratch and the Sequoia, a lot of the offerings that Mike puts out, they're kind of like one and dones. You know, they don't keep producing them. They always, you know, aim to put out more, you know, new stuff. But you know, if you get a chance to get a Gratch or a Sequoia or, you know, the Tegral, the Sublaya, I think, you know, that huge Persian looking blade, they're all phenomenal knives. So if you get a chance to get one in the secondary market, I haven't seen the Gratch being sold like anywhere, because I think that the owners love them. So if you get a chance to get one, I think it's worth snagging. You know, a lot of fine details and great fit and finish work, you know, went into this knife. And you know, if you can get it for $300, you know, under $400, I think it's well worth the price. So anyway, that's my quick take on the Custom Knife Factory Gratch, and by Anton Malyshev, and produced by Custom Knife Factory. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next vid. Take care. Bye.